Hey guys, Station X here, and today we're going to be doing Video Game Pickups 12 Part 2. Because as you know from Part 1 in the middle of the week, I did strictly Pokemon, and while I got a couple more Pokemon things here today, this is the main video game pickups where we're used to seeing a variety of stuff. We got a lot of Switch here, we got a lot of Xbox and a couple PlayStation, and of course a decent DS collection as well going into this episode. So without any further ado, I just want to jump right into it because we got a lot of good stuff here. Now, I first want to start off with the non-Nintendo stuff because this is a very heavy Nintendo themed episode here. We're going to start with the big boy here, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This came out obviously in October, and this is something I get every single year. I think this is the first time Call of Duty, in its yearly release has made it into an episode of Video Game Pickups. Because by the time I started it, I think Vanguard had already been out. And I mean, this is a big step up from that, so I'm glad this was the first one to be on here. I actually, as you can see, it's actually been opened because this one, I just couldn't wait to play it. This one was one of the ones I played day one, and I gotta say, the campaign, I have mixed feelings about. Most people find it good. I think it's okay. I think there was a lot of missions there that weren't to my taste, but the characters, of course, always done a good job. Captain Price, Ghost, seeing Soap there was awesome. Ghost and Soap's banter was very, very funny. I just found it a little weird, as you guys know, playing the original Modern Warfare 2, almost seemed like their roles were reversed, because in the original Modern Warfare 2, Soap was the captain of that team, and then Ghost was like this right-hand man sort of deal, and it, like, they had the opposite, where Ghost was the main captain, and Soap was his right-hand man. So it was a little hard getting used to that, but I mean, hey, it was a great experience nonetheless. And I played a little bit of the multiplayer, very small amount, but I gotta say, like, while there are some nitpicky things I have with it, it's an overall great game. So, that one, there's nothing more to really say about that. And here we also have Destroy All Humans 2. After getting the first one, I knew when this came out, I had to get the second one. This one's a really cool alien game that came out years ago on the original Xbox, I believe, and PS2. And it's nice seeing these getting remastered because they were just a really, really fun time. And yeah, I had to get the second one. Also, if you noticed, they changed the case yet again, because with this next one you'll see here that this is what the second iteration of the case looks like, and now here's the third iteration of the Series X cases with this green thing here. It's supposed to kind of like help you blend in with these guys, but it doesn't, it's not short enough. This is a little too tall compared to the other cover arts, as you can see, and so little nitpicky on the collector side of things, but it kind of is what it is. So, but they at least tried to make it look a little normal compared to the original version of the Series X and Xbox One cases. But kind of skipped over this a little bit. GTA 5 for the Series X. Now, I'm sure you guys know all about GTA by now. This game came out way back in the day, 2012 or 13, on the original Xbox 360 and PS3, and 2 generations later, here it is again. And I've bought, I think, every single version. Yeah, I bought the 360 version when it first came out. I bought the Xbox One version when it first came out. And now I have the Series X version. And I'm just wondering, when are they gonna stop? I know there was a lot of leaked footage of GTA 6 and a lot more information that we know now in comparison to when this came out. It's one of those things that it's so bizarre seeing the same game get released so many times, when with the original 3D trilogy, like the first time we got into 3D open world GTAs, they came out like once a year, almost like Call of Duty. And like Call of Duty, they were similar with each other, but they had very big differences in upgrades to each other, building upon each other. Whereas 4, 5, and now 6 had such long in-betweens of when games released, it's insane. So it almost feels like Rockstar has become the new Valve, because they barely release anything now, which is kind of, but at least they do still release games, unlike Valve, But hopefully at some point we'll see GTA 6 and no longer have to do a GTA 5. Although great game, it's just I feel like a lot of people have wanted to move on from it. And here we have Hades. I simply bought this just because this is actually on a clearance sale at GameStop, so I actually decided to pick this up. It was half off, and I couldn't refuse. I forgot how much it was. I think it was like 20 bucks. I paid like $10 for this thing because I got it for both Series X and PS5 here. And I mean, of course, the case was really cool. So I ended up paying 20 bucks anyway, but I got both versions. So, because I'm a collector, I knew I was gonna get these at some point. So why not? I mean, I just like that metallic look to it. And it's a pretty good game as well. I just haven't tried it or even heard anything about it. The cover really caught my eye. And sometimes that's all you need. Back in the day, there was no YouTube or anything to really go off of other than, you know, you just having word of mouth and playing the game and see how it is. Sometimes you would get stuck with a crappy game, but I heard a lot of good things about these, so I don't think I might have that same situation here. And just want to go over this one real quick. We Happy Few. I remember this was one of the original games that was talked about when the Xbox One and PS4 first came out. Specifically Xbox One, because I would watch a lot of the Xbox One E3 trailers and things like that, and this was one of the games that they would talk about in those early days, along with Crackdown 3. But while I didn't hear anything stellar about it, I've always wanted to pick it up because it does look unique and it's got a unique looking cover as well, and a kind of fun concept. But that's just kind of it. That's the whole reason why I bought that one. And of course, my favorite series of all time, Persona. I can't say enough good things about this series, and of course, as you guys know, big fan of the Persona 5 in particular. And when they released this on both Xbox, I actually have the Switch version we'll get into a little bit later. They released it for Switch, they have the Xbox version, and yes, I also have a Steelbook version of that as well. But I bought it for Switch. So I bought this game multiple times because I really wanted to support the non-PlayStation releases because I want them to keep doing it. And hopefully, whenever they do another one, it'll be multi-platform, and we'll have a Switch version and things like that, yada yada. This is such a great game, and now finally this is going to be available on other platforms, and you can experience it for yourself if you've never owned a PlayStation. Most people do, but there's a lot of people who don't, like on Steam, Switch, Xbox. It's a great game. And of course, also, funny enough, the same time I was buying the Persona 5 Royal for the other systems, this was also in the store at the same time, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. And, you know, I have the original one. Now I have the more updated one with the extra story and other characters on it. And this is pretty cool. Of course, you got Persona 4's protagonist just looking like a boss there with his big old title belt. And what I liked about this, of course, is that you have a lot of returning Persona 3 characters. I'm pretty sure in the I think in the original one they came in there as well, but here it's really heavily Persona 3 here with Persona 4, almost like a crossover, like the Persona Q games in a sense. But this is a great fighting game, and it's really cool. And now we're moving on to the Nintendo portion of this video. Let's do with the DS first, just because this is going to take a bit to get through. For 3DS, I wanted to include this just because it's sealed. You don't see a lot of sealed DS and 3DS games anymore, but Carnival Games Wild West 3D. Now, I remember one of my first DS games was the original Carnival games, and I also had it for the Wii, and back in the day as a kid, I always loved playing it. So this is just kind of like a nostalgic throwback a bit, even though I never played this particular version. It was just nice to have something that's continuing off of like my childhood and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And also here, I want to say this one for last, we have Metroid Prime Hunters. This is a really good find, and of course, really good game. And another bonus, awesome cover. DS games had such amazing presentation when it came to the outer box. It just makes it even more of a shame that the DS cases oftentimes get thrown out, especially if you go to like the big stores like GameStop, Best Buy, Target. I mean, some of them don't even sell the DS games anymore. But whenever you find DS games in the case and stuff, and especially if it's a good game, you're always going to know that there's going to be a really nice cover in it. And a lot of these end up being complete with the manual and all that. It's not hard to find DS games like with the case with the manual as well. Most of the time they end up having it. And of course, we also have Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Always a big fan of the Zelda series, and anytime I can add more Zelda to my collection, that's always makes me happy, you know. And this one obviously is going off of the Wind Waker design of Zelda and Link, so always a great time. Loved both the GameCube version of Wind Waker and the Wii U port, and so whenever this guy shows up, I think he's one of the more common ones other than just traditional Link. So it's kind of funny how that is. And of course, you got Final Fantasy III. This is not like the Final Fantasy III on the Super Nintendo. This is the actual Final Fantasy III that Japan got, which I thought was pretty funny. And you know, we could go on for a little bit about the naming convention there, but I mean, basically, you know, Final Fantasy wasn't like a super popular thing where they could just release the game and not worry about it. Back in the day when they released Final Fantasy, it wasn't grabbing like every single person. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now. And so when they released the Final Fantasy 1 was Final Fantasy 1 in Japan and US. Final Fantasy 2, however, they skipped over the original Final Fantasy 2. They decided to do Final Fantasy 3. I'm pretty sure they did Final Fantasy 3. No, they skipped over Final Fantasy 3, actually. They did Final Fantasy 4 as R2. Like, that was our Final Fantasy 2. What we played as Final Fantasy 2 was really Final Fantasy 4 in Japan. And then when we got Final Fantasy 3 for Super Nintendo, that was actually Final Fantasy 6. So they skipped over 2, 3, and 4, that the Japanese versions in the US. And that's why when Final Fantasy 7 came out on PlayStation, they just stopped messing with the numbers at that point, and they just said, we're gonna just keep it the same and not talk about it. And they actually did re-release 2, 3, and 4, although I find it weird that it's almost really hard to find the original Final Fantasy 3 on a PlayStation system, because one of my collector goals is I try to get like a series mostly on the same platform at first, so that would be like the main way to play it. And I picked PlayStation even though it really started on Nintendo systems, but I picked PlayStation because there was a lot of games that were like original releases were exclusively released on there, and it was the easiest ones to find. Some of them still are exclusively, like Final Fantasy 2 and 4, I believe, are the original ones were only sold on PlayStations, or at least like the best ones to play, the best versions of it. Collecting for Final Fantasy has always been very convoluted, just like the naming convention. And so this one was always like the hardest one to find for PlayStation and stuff, because I just don't think they have a proper port of Final Fantasy 3 physically in the US, because I think there's ones from Japan and other regions, but never the ESRB one. But here we got the DS one. This one also had that unfortunate yellow sticker thing, if you guys know what I'm talking about, where they stickered the spine. So that's why the spine looks a little weird. I tried my best to fill it in because this whole thing got like ripped out, but at least the front cover looks good and the back looks good, and of course it's complete, so very nice. I know it took a little time on that one, but here we have Pokemon White. And like I said in the first half of the video game pickups was on Wednesday, I was still missing some. I still got more to go. There's some more DS ones I'm still missing, like specifically the other halves of the Black and White games. White version 2 I'm missing, and Black version 1 I'm missing. At least now I have a Black and White game for Pokemon now, which is pretty cool. And also I'm missing Platinum. And then as far as Game Boy is concerned, missing Emerald and Fire Red, and for 3DS, just Ultra Moon. So that's kind of a recap if you missed a bit of the other half of Video Game Pickups 12. But again, complete, awesome. You love to see it. This is actually the Pokemon, like Black and White version 1 was the Pokemon that I would see quite often in school. It was either this or I believe Soul Silver and Heart Gold would be the other one. Like every time I went into the lunch period, whether it be in elementary or middle school, this was this and the remasters on DS were like the ones that I would see all the time. I'll see like a Diamond and Pearl here and there, but it was the DS games, man. That's the ones I would see growing up as a kid. And now we get to the Switch ones. Here we have Atari 50th anniversary celebration. It's Atari. There's so many Atari compilations and stuff, but I just thought the presentation on this looked so cool, and it looks very, you know, fancy looking. And I mean, it is the 50th. 50 is a pretty big number, so this was cool. I had to get it. So I might not even open this, to be honest, because obviously it's Atari. I could play these games anywhere. So there's that. These next three I'm going to talk at the same time because this is the Bayonetta trilogy. Of course, Bayonetta 1 and 2, awesome. This is actually the standalone version that they had released prior to 3 coming out. Bayonetta 2 was the first one they did on Switch. While it did include a full download of Bayonetta 1 in the inside cover, they also had a reversible cover for Bayonetta 1 as well. And as you can see, it's a different cover they used, which I thought was pretty interesting. But the main one here is Bayonetta 3. The third one, if you've heard news about Bayonetta, one that's a little controversial just because of the voice actress, but I'm not going to bore you with the details with that. But nonetheless, really great games here. And now the whole trilogy, not only it has a physical representation on Switch, but now, like, yeah, obviously you can play all three on Nintendo Switch at any time, and it's just really cool. I would love if they had done like a re-release of this as well, like a reprint cover, I guess. This is just really cool, just having them all here. All different poses, all different outfits, all different moon backgrounds. So it's pretty cool. Here, I just wanted to throw this in. FIFA 23. Only reason why this is significant and why I bought it for Switch, because I mean it was the cheapest one. But this is going to be the last FIFA game that EA is going to produce. Their license is done. So now, whenever you see FIFA moving forward, official FIFA company making their own game, and EA will make their own soccer game called Football Club, or EAFC. So I got the Legacy Edition, which just means it's last year's. And so, I mean, FIFA's not really my thing. I just bought it because of that significance there. Another game that has been out for a while, but now has finally got a Switch port, No Man's Sky. What a difference this game has been since the release of this thing. It was super bad, now risen up to the ashes, and it's become one of the best games of all time. Now, I wouldn't probably say it's a 10 out of 10, but I mean, it's, you know, as far as redemption stories, I mean, like, come on, you can't get any better than that. But, you know, I've always, I played it every now and then on the PlayStation. I think, no, it's not PlayStation, it's the Xbox version, my mistake. But now I have a portable version, but that's even if I decide to open this one, just because it is such a cool game. I do want to keep certain games sealed. I might just buy it digitally on the Switch, because it wasn't that much more. I think the physical release, they did, I believe it was $60 still, but I have enough points on my Nintendo account where I can just get this thing for free. So I mean, I don't mind doing that. And here we have Omari. This is another game that I'm not too familiar with. Bought it simply because the cover looks really cool. I'm a guy who likes to draw a lot, so this here reminds me a lot of my old art books that I used to have back in high school. So I mean, that's the sole reason why I bought it, was just this cover right here. But I was also told it's a pretty good game as well, and I can't wait to try it out. Of course, it also comes with some nice little doodads and stuff, which is always nice to see. And so, yeah. And I want to save this for last, but I'm not even going to pretend like I know how to pronounce this, so I'm just going to spare you the cringe in not pronouncing it. But Rhythm Festival here is a pretty unique looking game. I saw this all the time when it came to Switch collections. Whenever someone shows off their Switch collection, I would see I believe they had Japanese versions of these games. And so seeing US release, I'm pretty sure this is the first one, I just knew I had to get it. And while I'm really terrible at rhythm games, or specific rhythm games, I know this one's specifically uses a drum set accessory, which, as you guys know, never buy the accessories for. But this one I might buy the accessory for it, because it just looks so cool. I mean, look at that. Look at that right there. It's a drum set with a face on it. I mean, and there's a cloud with a face on it. It just looks so cool, and it's a rhythm game I'm willing to try out, so give it a whirl. And last but certainly not least, Persona 5 Royal, both the Steelbook one and the standard copy. Now, of course, again, this is another one I had to open. I don't even have the cartridge in here because it's in my Switch. Kind of forgot about that. But this I kept sealed just because I'm still debating on even opening this thing, because, you know, obviously I have the game over here, so I don't even know if I want to open this or not. But I do really like the Steelbook, and I mean, I'm just a sucker for it. I could have gotten the regular size one for like the Xbox and did that, but just so that it would match the other ones. But Switch games, I don't think ever really get official Steelbooks all too often in comparison, so I really wanted to get a Switch Steelbook because I always love them. And in fact, I don't have too many. I have a small set, but not too many Switch Steelbooks. Actually lied when I said that was the last game, because of course, as you guys know, Pokemon is out, the new one, Scarlet and Violet, and so here we have the double pack. This always is such a fun time, and getting the double pack midnight release, I don't know if you guys were there for it, but I was there and I had to get it. So we're gonna open this up. Of course, the double pack, I'm pretty sure, always comes with 200 Pokeballs. The only other double pack I got was the Diamond and Pearl one, which was a very nice one indeed. But here we got the back of it. Here's the side right here, almost like a mini unboxing. And so we're gonna open this up and take a look at it. We got the box open. Let's take these guys out. Here are the covers. Very cool. Now, I'm debating on doing the same thing I've done for the other ones, which, as you guys know from the previous video, the other ones I had bought at least one of these digitally for each one, whether it be one Sword and Shield, Diamond and Pearl. I just kept those sealed just because of the fact that I bought a digital version of one of the games and just played that. And I'm debating on either opening one of these or keeping them both sealed and just buying one of them, which if I had to, I'd probably go with Violet, just because I do like purple, and it is like, you know, they did this whole futuristic theme. I'm always holding these the wrong way. It's supposed to be Scarlet and Violet, not Violet and Scarlet. But it's supposed to be prehistoric versus futuristic, you know, so if you pick either one, you either get a future one or a prehistoric one. It's kind of how the theme of it goes. I guess you could let me know in the comments below which one would you do if you were in my predicament, and which one would you get if you were only going to pick up one. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I mean, this is basically it. That would be it for today. Let's, as usual, get all the games back in frame. And yeah, but that'll be it for this episode of Video Game Pickups. Please let me know what you guys think, and as always, please subscribe because it always helps out the channel and it's free. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I've been Station X, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.